Feels like a carpet. Feels like a carpet. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are well and staying safe. I'm just going to jump straight into it. I'm going to do a review on the Velvetsponge makeup. I'm going to compare it with a beauty blender. I put it on my Insta story if you wanted to see a comparison, and a unanimous vote. Everyone wanted to see a comparison with the beauty blender, so I'm gonna jump straight into it. If you're new to my channel, my name is Nazma. I'm a makeup artist and I do beauty related video, and I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of makeup videos on my Instagram, so go check it out. I'll link it in the description box below and also across this banner, so be sure to check that out. I'm gonna jump straight into it. I'm so excited about trying this makeup sponge. It's been trending on Instagram. I've seen it on a lot of makeup artists using it, and I'm really curious to try it. So yeah, I'm just going to jump straight into the video, and I can't wait to try it and get my hands on this makeup sponge as well. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. This is what it looks like in the packaging. It's just at the front it just says makeup sponge latex free, so it's latex free. And it says microfiber sponge. Wet the sponge under a tap and squeeze out any excess water in a paper towel. Apply foundation. Apply your foundation, concealer or contour product either on the back of your hand or directly on the face. Use a dabbing motion to create a flawless finish. So it says it's cruelty free and it's latex free as well, which is a bonus. So yeah, I'm just going to open it out of the package and try it for the first time. Okay. Oh, okay. That is weird. Oh wow, that is really strange. It feels like a carpet. I don't know why, but it just feels really strange. It feels really strange. Wow. I mean, comparing it to a beauty blender, the sizing first and foremost, you can see the difference in sizing. Like this is a lot bigger. In terms of sizing, you can see the difference. This is a lot smaller. This is the beauty blender. This is just an ordinary beauty blender, which obviously before it's wet, and this is just a normal size before it's wet as well. So I've got my bowl here, and I'm just going to dip them in. From the website it says you can soak it in water to achieve, and it just says our baby blue microfiber sponge is more dense and firmer than the lilac sponge. They have a lilac range as well. This beauty sponge helps to create a more airbrush finish and absorbs so much less product than a traditional beauty blender, which is a bonus because I waste so much of my foundation with the beauty blender. The microfibers work to transfer product onto your skin rather than absorbing it, so you can buff your way to a flawless natural finish. The sponge has a velvet feel. It certainly does have a velvet feel, and has been made to high quality. Really hope you enjoy the sponge. So basically it just says that as well, and it just says that it's so to clean it as well, we advise you to clean your sponge after every use to avoid staining. Use a mild soap and lukewarm water. Gently rub your sponge onto a soap and rinse. So yeah, so far it's basically explaining that it's just a lot more denser than a normal beauty blender, and it certainly is a lot more denser. Water. So I've got my bowl here with a bit of water, and I'm going to just dip it in, and I'm just going to quickly soak it in. How weird is this? So yeah, this is how it looks like now compared to how it looked before. I'll do a comparison compared to it before, but this is how it looks now. And then I'm just going to soak. I'm going to soak my beauty blender as well. I'm going to dip that in. I'm just going to squeeze out the excess, and that's what it looks like after it's soaked. Let me just get my towel. I'm not squeezing it too much, so I don't want to squeeze it too much. So that's what it looks like after it's bit of fluff there. That's what it looks like after it's been soaked in some water, and compared to the beauty blender, the size is almost identical. In height wise, they're exactly the same. However, in width, this by far, the comparison, it's a lot bigger. It's a lot bigger. So yeah, in comparison, this is a lot bigger. So good. So yeah, so I'm going to start off using it. I'm going to zoom in. So I'm going to zoom in and then you can see properly, and then when I apply it on my face, I still can't get used to it. It feels, when I touch it, it feels as though I've got no water in here. It feels really, really dry, even though I know I've soaked it, whereas this still feels a little bit wet and I can still feel the water in the sponge. Whereas this, it just feels like it's drawn out most of the excess water and only so much of it is in. Use my trusty medium to full coverage foundation first. I'm going to use that first, and then I'm going to see how it is with my concealer and contour. So I'm going to just do the whole look with this look. So this side I'm going to use the velvet sponge, and this side I'm going to use the beauty blender, and I'm going to just see the comparison on this side. Excuse my massive spot underneath my nose. I've been breaking out because of wearing masks, and I'm just trying to let that heal. So yeah, so excuse my massive spot on this here. Hopefully it will cover it up, and yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm going to use the Huda Beauty foundation. It's my medium to full coverage foundation. I fancy the full coverage look to see how it is, so I'm going to use that. So I'm going to just get one pump, apply at the back of my hand. I'll just apply it at the back of my hand. I'm just going to get one pump and apply it back of my hand, and then I'm going to start off with the flat side first and see how it is. I mean, at the moment I've just dabbed it. Okay. So instantly I can feel like the transfer is a lot. What is this here? A bit of fluff. What is this here? So I can instantly feel like the transfer is a lot more denser. So I feel like I really have to like press into it. But a lot is being taken off, so you can see like on my sponge as well, there's a lot in the excess of the top here, so I'm like trying to get that in. But I'm really like doing dabbing motions as I normally would do with a makeup, with a beauty blender. So I've just used one sponge, one pump, but I've got a little bit more left yet, and obviously granted it's half of my face. But I'm going to see, oh wow, gosh, that's covered it up really, really well. Just get it under there, and there's still some product here, so it's held it really, really well. And I've still got some excess product left, which is weird, because usually with Huda Beauty, when I do use a beauty blender, I have to use at least 2.5 pumps to do a full coverage look. I've only just used one pump and there's still some excess left, so that is a good sign. Guys, literally half of my face is covered, and I've just used one pump and it has really, really covered it really, really well. So I'll need a little bit more here. So I'm going to try the bottom bit now. I'm going to see how it is with the bottom bit. So I'm going to try the bottom of the sponge, and I'm going to see how it is with that. So the bottom side is a lot more denser, it's a lot more harder, and you can see like it picks it up really well, and the product is still on the surface of the sponge. I keep saying beauty blender, but you know what I mean. This product is still on the surface of the sponge, which means that it'll transfer a lot better on your skin as opposed to it being completely absorbed. So it is true to its saying that it does absorb a lot less product, because the product is still at the surface of the sponge, which goes to show that it hasn't fully absorbed into the center, which is a good sign. So yeah, so let me try the other side so you can see. So again, I'm going to use a one pump again, and I'm going to just use the same amount, just dab off the excess, so you can see now how much that's absorbed in compared to the first one. And I'm just going to, so this sponge feels a lot more wet compared to the velvet sponge, a lot more wet. So let me just cover my spot. Yeah. So a lot of products has been picked up, as you can see guys, a lot's picked up, but this sponge does feel a lot more wet compared to the velvet sponge, which for me it goes to show that it's going to absorb a lot more product. So so now this side, usually I've got some pigmentation, got some darkness around this area which I like to brighten up a little bit, but I've already run out of foundation, so I've not got enough to go back in, so I'm having to like pump a little bit more out just to go back in again. But you can see the whole sponge is covered. Now I'm going to try the bottom as well so you can see the difference. Now the bottom of the sponge is a lot more softer. So I'll show you what they look like after I've used the foundations on the sponges and how they look. So you can see this side, I've just used the flat side in particular, and then just at the bottom, but this transfer, it's still on the surface, whereas this sponge, it's properly absorbed in. You can see it's all over, it's absorbed in a lot more product, and in the bottom as well, it's absorbed in a lot more product as well. Like on this side, it's not absorbed in so much. I don't know if you guys can see on camera, this seems more of a matte finish, whereas this side has given me more of a satin finish, which I don't know what to take of that, which is quite weird. I think it's because the sponge was really wet, and it still feels really wet, whereas the I keep calling it beauty blender, whereas the velvet sponge seems to be like completely dried. So yeah, so we're going to go into concealing and contouring and see how it looks then, so be right back. So to conceal, I'm just going to go underneath my eyes, so on the side of my nose, just to hide that, I'm just going to go underneath my eyes, on my forehead, and on the bridge of my nose, tip of my nose, top of my lip, and just on my chin. My contour, I'm just going to contour. And just underneath my chin here. I usually let this sit to get the full coverage look that I want. So yeah, I'm going to just let this sit for a bit. So I'm going to do the opposite side now, which is more the rounder side. I kind of should have started off doing this side first and then do the flat side for underneath my eyes, but it's okay, it's fine, we could just improvise. So yeah. Yeah, so it seems to, like, nothing's picked up so far, it's not picked up at all. Wow, that is amazing. I'm so impressed. Guys, it's not picking it up. It's not picking up at all. It's just pushing the product in. It's not picked up. It's just pushed the product in, which is a really good sign. Wow, I'm really impressed. That is full coverage to the max. Wow. Let's see how it looks down here, because it really gets into the light. Oh my days. And it's really pressed into my pores. It's really pressed into my pores, like it's almost covered my beauty spot. Can you see? Wow. Wow. I'm really impressed. My skin, I don't know, you guys can't see my pores, and I've not even used a primer, like a pore perfecting primer or a, you know, pore minimizing primer. I've not used that, and it's just I'm going to go in and then just going to, with the back of this, I'm going to just contour this bit here. Again, no product is being transferred. Oh, very little is being transferred onto the sponge, which is amazing because you're not wasting product then. Oh my days, wow. That is really good. With this, I'm having to, obviously because of the concealer, it dries quite quickly and I'm chatting, so I'm actually having to push this in to my skin a little bit more because it's obviously it's naturally dried. Because the sponge doesn't feel so wet, it's not much maneuverability, so I can't move it as much, but it's actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. That's really, really good. That's really, really giving an airbrush look, guys. Like, you guys can, I don't know if you can see, but this looks like it's taken me ages to contour and like to buffer it out and give like a very much, it really gives an airbrush finish. Okay, so now I'm going to do this out with the beauty blender and see if it blends in. Now, I feel like this side will be like instantly, you can see like it's a lot more sheerer with this side, whereas this side is completely full coverage. I can't believe it. It is amazing. Like, you can see like instantly there, you can see like there's a little bit of sheerness there. Wow. I'm just gonna get this bit here. Like, I don't know how you can, if you can see it, but this side seems to be a lot more sheer, and you can see it coming through again, my dark circles, whereas this side it seems as though it's full coverage, completely full coverage. I mean, it's really, really impressed how that's covered everything and used everything. So let me just try to blend this bit out now. It's granted, I mean, I've left it to dry for a few minutes, so it's going to take a little bit of work, and it's an advantage that the beauty blender is a little bit wet, so you can move it around a little bit more. But it's almost like I'd have to go back in again with a powdered yeah, I'm just so impressed. Wow. I'm going to use Vanilla from L'Oreal Infallible and just pop it on just the corner of my eyes, just on the corner here, just to bring it forward, because you can see like I've got a dip there and I just want to bring that forward. So I'm just going to bring it here a little bit and then see how much of a difference it makes, and if it does. So I'm going to go back in with my velvet sponge and just blend that out. Like instantly you can see like the product's just being pushed around, like there's no like product on the actual sponge. Like I'll show you here, like there's a gap there. I'll show you here. Like there's hardly anything being pushed back into the sponge, which is amazing, because then you know you're using most of the product on your skin as opposed to it being absorbed by the sponge. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Oh wow. Right, let me do the other side now. So I'm going to just find a gap where there's got nothing, and I'm just going to try. Yeah, so this one still, it shears it out completely, and look at that, that's absorbed most of the product. Right, so we're going to bake now and see how well it takes from the baking, and I'm going to use my trusty Huda Beauty pound cake powder. So I'm just going to dip straight into it, and I'm just going to get into it and bake it as quickly as possible because I want it to set, and then I'm just going to apply it on. Okay. Because usually what I do, I just press into the product first and then I'll go back into baking. But it seems to, I mean, I'm putting quite a bit on and it's not transferring it. Let me try, yeah, it seems to not pick up, and there's quite a bit of powder that's gathered on the brush. On the sponge, but it's not transferring it over. Yeah, it seems to press it into the skin, but for baking, like for it to sit and bake, it's more on the sponge than it is on my face, which is disappointing. I'm going to bake on this side now as well. Yeah, so you can see instantly I've put the same amount on, and I'm just trying to instantly this takes much better. So the beauty blender takes much better to the powder, as opposed to like this side I've really tried to use the same amount, and this is so much more easier with baking. Now you can see like the powder has been fully absorbed on this sponge. I keep saying beauty blender, but you can see the powder's absorbed a lot more on this sponge compared to this one. It's just a lot more absorbed and a lot more. There's not much effort, I could just slide into it. I feel like a lot was absorbed, and there's a lot more effort for me to bake with this sponge. So I'm going to finish off this look. Okay, I'm back. So I've just done a quick look. I'm going to be going out for some dinner with my husband. He's waiting patiently for me. So I've just popped on some lipstick. I've just got the Stila Stay On All Day lipstick in Beso, and also just popped on some mascara. I'm using the Huda Beauty Legit Lashes mascara. I did recently a review on this, so if you haven't already, go check that out after this video. I'll link it in the description box below for you to see. So yeah, so my overall thoughts on this makeup sponge. Yeah, thumbs up. I'm really impressed. I think to start off with the price point as well, on the website it's retailed at $8.99, which I think is super affordable, a little bit cheaper than what you would expect. But for a makeup sponge, I mean, compared to the beauty blender, which is retailed at £17, it is a lot cheaper. In terms of the transfer and the product as well, I feel like the products in terms of the liquid and the cream foundations, I think the foundations and the concealer, I was really impressed. In fact, I was more impressed with the concealer application. I feel like the concealer it was such full coverage compared to, I mean, you saw such full coverage compared to the beauty blender, which I would certainly be using from now onwards. I absolutely loved the finish it made on the concealer, with the concealer, and I used a full coverage concealer, so I was really impressed with that. In terms of the powders, it was a bit disappointing because I felt like the powder was being absorbed far too much than the beauty blender, even though the beauty blender felt a little bit more wet compared to the velvet sponge. But I felt like there was so much product that was being absorbed and not enough baking happening. So with that, I wouldn't use it for baking, so I'd just use it for liquids as opposed to powders. But yeah, I'm really impressed. The finish is fantastic. I mean, I don't know if you can see, I don't know if you can tell the difference. There's not much of a difference in terms of the finish, because overall with the baking it kind of salvaged it a little bit, but I feel like this side is a lot more full coverage compared to this side. I like a matte finish. I prefer a matte finish. So when I used strangely enough, when I used the when I used the Huda Beauty foundation on the right side, which was the velvet sponge, it gave me a matte finish, whereas the beauty blender on the left side, it gave me more of a satiny finish. I've never had that experience before with an application tool where it gives you a different finish. So yeah, I was really impressed with that. I was really impressed with how it completed on my look, and you know, so much product had been transferred onto my skin as opposed to it being absorbed. So I was really impressed. I feel like for the price that you pay for a beauty blender, you waste so much product with a liquid foundation. A lot of product gets wasted, and you're going in and you go through your foundations a lot quicker. But I'm gonna see this. As I was trialing with my mascara and any other products that I review, I'm gonna continue using this, and I'm gonna see how well it does in terms of longevity, but in terms of the powders I have to give it a thumbs down because I felt like the transfer wasn't as great. But to be honest, I use different sponges for my liquid or cream concealers or contours and foundations, so I only reuse that anyway. It's just for today's video I just used the same sponge for baking and also for my foundations as well, but going forwards I'll probably use a beauty blender for baking and continue to use all the the triangle sponges that I use. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like it, please remember to like, comment and subscribe to my channel and hit the bell notification for any new videos that I'll be uploading. I'll link in the description box below and also in here as well if you want to check out my previous video, and also I'll show you the review of this mascara that I've just put on today. So yeah, until next time, I'll see you in my next video guys. Take care for now. Bye.